We begin our trip by meeting our traveling partners, Kimberly and Phil of Casual Nomads in their Jeep Rubicon, and Patrick and Faith in their Jeep Grand Cherokee Trailhawk in Casper, Wyoming at the Bourgeois Pig Coffee House to go over our plans for exploring and camping. We intend to spend 5 nights and 6 days exploring the Bighorns area, entering from the foothills in the south, working our way up the eastern side, then crossing to the west and traveling back south. Be sure to check out throughout the video locations of campsites and attractions to see. After traveling north on I-25 from Casper, we turn off at the small town of Cody, Wyoming. We continue north on Highway 191, also known as Mailworth Road. Climbing into the foothills through ranch, state, and BLM lands, we get spectacular views as we see the vast prairie to the east and the Bighorn Mountains to the north. These roads are easily traveled by most vehicles, and even if you are not camping, it would be a beautiful drive in the summer to connect to Highway 16, either to head west to Cody, Wyoming, or east to Buffalo, Wyoming. As we set up camp, Rusty and I reflected on how it would be to sleep in a tent for the first time in 45 years. We then proceeded to set up our old Coleman white gas stove and cook spaghetti and meatballs for the crew. Something about cooking while camping after a beautiful day of exploring makes the food taste so much better. Even though it was pretty cold that night, we had a roaring campfire thanks to Patrick and Faith, and it was one of the best nights' sleep we'd had in a long time.
Blow, Faith, blow.
Rusty's like,
Faith.
this again.
Blow. You're like a dragon.
June, July, and August are a beautiful time to witness the wildflowers blooming in the mountains. As we drive north on Highway 16, we catch glimpses of the 190,000-acre Cloud Peak Wilderness area, which sits in the southern portion of the National Forest. The Bighorn National Forest was created in 1897 and is one of the oldest national forests in the country. The Bighorn River, whose headwaters lay inside the area, was named by Native Americans for the bighorn sheep in the area. The forest is approximately 80 miles long by 30 miles wide and consists of over 1,115,000 acres in elevations ranging from 5,500 feet to 13,167 feet at the top of Cloud Peak. The scenery is a mix of alpine, high mountain meadows, forests, rivers, creeks, and lakes. There's a wide variety of wildlife, including bighorn sheep, eagles, deer, elk, moose, bobcats, coyotes, mountain lions, and black bears, with an occasional grizzly bear passing through, but with no established population. Recreational uses include fishing, hunting, sightseeing, photography, hiking, mountain biking, camping, paddleboarding, and many others. There are 33 established campgrounds in the Bighorn National Forest, along with numerous dispersed camping sites that will handle everything from single tents up to RV trailers. Crazy Woman Canyon is approximately 13 miles of auto-drivable road from the west off Highway 16, or is reached from the east through ranch land from I-25. You follow Crazy Woman Creek for most of the way through the canyon. For a short distance, you pass through narrow canyon walls with large boulders in the creek. We found a beautiful large campsite next to the creek with several waterfalls that provided white noise tranquility for sleeping. Two legends surround the naming of Crazy Woman Creek and Canyon. One is of a young widow of a trader whose family was killed by Indians, who then left her to wander the canyon insane with grief. The second legend is of an Indian woman left alone after an attack on her village, who could be seen wandering the canyon at night. The canyon is also said to be a hiding place for Indian war parties and later Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. Background too.
Over the edge! Woo!
On day 3, we continued east down the canyon and drove to Buffalo, Wyoming to gas up and buy a few supplies. This area on the east side of the Bighorns is home to the fictional characters of the Joe Pickett novels and TV series, along with Buffalo hosting in August the Longmire Days celebration of the book and TV series of the fictional sheriff Walt Longmire. From Buffalo, we headed north on I-90 to Sheridan, Wyoming. We could do several videos on the towns surrounding the Bighorns, but that will have to wait for a later date. We do recommend, if you have limited time, like we did, to stop into King's Saddlery and Ropes. Be sure to visit their museum in the building behind the main store. From Sheridan, we headed north once again on I-90 to the town of Ranchester, Wyoming, and turn on Highway 14 west to enter the mountains once again. This section of US 14 is known as the Bighorn Scenic Byway and stretches for 47 miles across the Bighorn Mountains. To reach our campsite for the evening, we turn off Highway 14 onto Black Mountain Road, also known as Forest Road 16. We found a wide open campsite with plenty of firewood, and while the dogs relaxed, Patrick and Faith cooked tikka masala. That's what I call camping. As you head west on Highway 14A, the road becomes known as the Medicine Wheel Passage Scenic Byway. The 27 miles of this scenic byway end at the western edge of the Bighorn National Forest. We head west from Burgess Junction on 14A in anticipation of visiting the Wyoming Medicine Wheel. In the high parks of this area, at the end of June, we still see snowbanks and encounter moose grazing alongside the road. The vistas are incredible as we turn off to view the Bighorn Basin. The Bighorn Medicine Wheel is part of the Medicine Mountain National Historic Landmark. The landmark is approximately 4,000 acres in size and home to one of the largest stone medicine wheels in North America. Sitting at 9,640 feet, you walk 1.5 miles uphill from the parking lot to a site with beautiful views overlooking the Bighorn Basin. No one knows who built the wheel nor exactly when it was built. Estimates range from several hundred years to 3,000 years ago. The Medicine Wheel is an active spiritual site, which is sometimes closed during private Native American ceremonies. The wheel is accessible from mid to late June through September. After spending the afternoon exploring the area off Hunt Mountain Road between Highway 14 Alternate and Highway 14, but being stopped by a deep snowbank, we backtracked to 14A and headed west to Five Springs Campground, overlooking the Bighorn Basin. Finding a campsite that accommodated our 3 vehicles and no one else there, we enjoyed our evening meal, a beautiful sunset, and a roaring fire. Since we had to deviate from our original plan, I asked the group whether anyone would like to visit Cody, Wyoming, which lies approximately 60 miles to the west. Faith told us the story of her great-grandparents who had donated a custom-made 1894 Winchester repeating rifle to the Buffalo Bill Center of the West in Cody. We set off the next morning and found the rifle exhibited in the lower level. If you're ever in the area, this center is actually 5 museums in one, with exhibits dedicated to the American West. We've included a link in the description below. We headed back into the Bighorns east on Highway 14 to find our campsite for our last night. After a quick stop to check our Gaia GPS maps, we headed towards Shell Creek Reservoir, with Patrick and Faith in the Trailhawk leading the way. The road after this intersection gets quite rocky and rough, and is not appropriate for RVs or large campers. We had wondered before this trip if there would be crowds of people in the Bighorn, since Yellowstone Park, not far to the west, had been mostly shut down because of flooding. We need not have worried, as we found many dispersed campsites and nearly empty campgrounds in some areas. This last night's sight at Shell Reservoir was epic, as we enjoyed a wonderful meal cooked by Kimberly and Phil, and one final night of camaraderie around the campfire. There is something especially peaceful when you're out camping, to getting up early, making coffee, and enjoying the sunrise. Away from the daily chaos, no electronic noises, only the natural world of flowing water, wind through the pines, and occasional call of a soaring raptor looking for breakfast. This trip has been all that and more. We are sad for it to end, but are already planning our next adventure. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button below and hit subscribe to be notified of our next video. Thanks for watching, and keep having a wonderful life.